Yeah, I started that.
Come on here, please, Sean. The second one it's canola. Oh, you co-chair. They go outside. Yes, sir, it is.
It's going to be a short meeting.
It's well.
I don't know where to act. Oh, yeah. You'll be all right.
Call to order the A&P Committee meeting, Calvert Parish School Board, November 18th, 2024. Roll call, Mr. Barrington. Oh, clarification, sorry.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, we thank you, we love you, we give you honor, God. God, you deserve every bit of praise and adoration, God, for the mere fact that you've allowed us to be here today. And God, if we didn't say it before, we just say thank you for another opportunity, another day to just be used by you, Father, and to serve you and serve the people, God. We thank you for the opportunity to be here on tonight. And we ask that you lead us and you guide us, God, in every way, form, and fashion as we conduct the business that you have given us the opportunity to serve in this capacity, God, to make decisions, God, to help affect this district in a positive way. Lead us, Lord, guide us, and have your way. We thank you and we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, Mr. Barrington.
Yes, sir. All right, Mr. Wallace.
Here.
Mr. Bumgarner.
Here.
Mr. Roberts. Ms. Dr. Washington.
Present.
Mr. O'Banion.
Here.
Mr. Keyshawn.
Here.
Ms. Fontenot. Mr. Talley. Ms. McReynolds.
Here.
Mr. Castile. Here. Mr. Hardesty. Ms. Ayo.
Here.
Mr. Broke. Ms. Gay.
I'm here, but I'm not on the committee.
It's okay.
Okay. Here.
Mr. Tarver. All righty.
All right, so we have a blue card, Mr. Terry Johnson.
Well, she not here, but can I take the place? Because she's Right, she's coming, but I already told Ms. Barentine, if I can't speak, can Ms. Barentine say what Terry says?
I can.
I'm good.
It is for what, which number, which
Item
policy?
number 4.
Number 4?
Yes, number 4, yes.
It says that these are coming from the state level, so sit a motion to move on all 1 through 11.
Yes, sir.
Second by Mr. Bungard. Motion by Mr. Castile.
Ms. Kathy, can I take it 1 through? When I get to number 4, I'll address that.
Absolutely, you
Perfect.
can.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna take number 1, school board member qualifications. School board members shall possess, and all these are coming from the state. This is, quite a few, just language changes or definitions that are added to policies that we already have in existence. So I'm just gonna kind of give you the highlights of that, and if you have any questions, just let me know, okay? For school board member qualifications, school board members shall possess a high school diploma or its equivalent as determined by the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. Also, school board members shall not serve on certain other boards specified by the Constitution of Louisiana, prohibition against dual office holdings. So that was a little blurb that they've added into the school board member qualifications. Okay? Anybody have any questions about number 1?
I do,
Okay.
Mr. Barrington. So, on number 6, dual office holding, so do you have to get a ruling from the state before you actually run for something else? Or if you're out of the guidelines of this new ruling, do you have to resign or what, since they just put this in place?
Just go for that one.
The Attorney General for the state of Louisiana enforces the dual office holding laws, and often people ask for opinions from the Attorney General's office. Usually staff will consult me about a board member who has questions, and we'll I'll look up to see if I believe there's a problem, and we usually advise the board member whether or not we believe there's a problem. If it's close, we'll ask the Attorney General for an opinion.
Any other questions? All right, number 2, school board member continuing education. Something that was added to this policy was special education has been added to the list of training and instruction for the school board members. And that's really the only other thing. Any other questions on that one?
Question, what happens if the, school board member doesn't get the training that they're supposed to go through?
What happens? What happens if they don't have all the trainings?
If I refuse to get the trainings,
Nothing.
One of the problems with the education of school board member statute is that it doesn't have a penalty. But I've cautioned previous boards and previous board members that there's a statute called malfeasance in office. If you intentionally fail to do what you're required to do, or you violate a prohibitory law intentionally, the DA's office can prosecute you for malfeasance in office. So there is a penalty, and I suggest we not try to provoke the district attorney into bringing charges against any of us.
All right, any other questions?
Just one quick question. With the special education training, who's responsible for providing that to us?
In the policy, it talks about, let's see, go ahead.
In general, the school board members attend the state conference, and the items that are required that they be taught are usually on the agenda of the state conference. Sometimes if staff sees that the school board members are not able to get that training, we'll schedule a training session. And I believe some of you have attended that, but it's been probably 4 or 5 years since staff has needed to do that. So it's up to the school board members themselves to see that they get the training
staff usually helps, and usually the board members will schedule that at the annual school board meeting or different conventions.
Ms. Watts?
A quick question on that, Mr. Belfour or whomever. How often, because I don't remember that training 4 or 5 years ago, and it could have been, I don't know, but how often do we offer training for our district? Are we prepared for school board members to receive credit toward our hours towards their required hours?
Well, I believe the last time we did this, again, 5 or 6 years ago, Ms. Carlisle checked with the state and made sure it met the state's criteria, so you got credit for the training. But it was held locally.
But when you go to like an LSBA conference, those hours count.
Yeah, but just in the case that someone doesn't attend, or maybe we just want extra hours or something, are we set up to provide training for school board members, like when we have long-range planning, or just some other training?
We could, if the need arises.
Because I do remember January this year, or was it last, no, the first year, this term, we had a meeting. I think it was some kind of a training or orientation for school board members. Did we get training hours for that?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
Okay. All right. Just one,
I believe so.
I know
I
from,
would think so. Those are gonna go towards your continuing hours.
I know it's a new year, but just,
Yeah, but you look at them.
thank you.
We can always get Dr. Washington to get special ed training.
Since you brought it up.
Yeah, this guy.
I'd just like to, for those of you who don't know, I actually received 16 hours of training one year, and I was recognized as an exemplary board member, certificate and all. So beat that.
Any other questions?
All right, next thing we have is notification of school board meetings. The change in this policy is rewording the notification method to, instead of giving notice, method to giving notice rather than mailing notice. This statute also requires that notice be given to any member of the public who requested in the same time, in the same manner as it's given to the members of the news media or who requested. This policy also includes a new requirement that notice be provided to the Commissioner of Administration. This is something new, in a format and manner that allows the Commissioner to post the notice on the Commissioner's website 24 hours prior to the scheduled time of the meeting. And there is a Commissioner of Administration we found out today, and his office is not set up and ready to go yet, but when it is, folks from Fort Hall are going to let us know, and we'll be sending it that way. So they've created another job at the state. So any questions about it? All right. Contracts and compensation.
You want to let Terry? We got the blue card.
Oh, she's here. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Terry Johnson, Calcasieu, Southwest Louisiana Federation of Teachers, 1515 Palermo Drive, Sulphur. And couple questions on this item. Number one being that the contract that you speak of is written as an intent to employ. And I was wondering if the language is going to change and reflect their base salary. No?
No, ma'am, it's not right now, but we can look into that, see if we can make a change for you.
I think that would make them more comfortable. And it doesn't, I mean, we know how much they make once they're in the system, but if they're coming new to the system, that is one of the big questions that I get when they look at our salary schedule, which is that going to change?
I know we have a study that we're working on that, hopefully we'll be getting some information on that soon.
Okay. And the other item that I had a question about on the giving the teachers additional compensation to any teacher who is not afforded the minimum uninterrupted planning time. How are we gonna do that? Because it is interrupted through PLC meetings, IEP meetings, and such. Are we going to compensate them for those items when they don't get it? Because it's written very broadly, and I'd like to have,
Ask the question again, Ms. Terry, I was talking to Keisha, I apologize.
no problem. It says, in addition to all other compensation to which a teacher is entitled, the school board shall compensate any teacher who is not afforded the minimum uninterrupted planning time as required by law at the effective hourly rate for that teacher. Does that include PLC meetings, IEP meetings, and such? Because it's written very broadly, and that's something that's gonna be asked.
Okay.
If they don't have their planning time, that is one of the top complaints
Yes.
that I receive.
Wow.
And right now, I have about 30%, 34% of the teachers in this parish belong to my organization. So I hear a lot. And they all have my cell number. So this is one of those items that I think you need to be a little bit more clear on, because if not, you're gonna have,
Well, and I know we've spoken about this,
yes,
and if we have a school that we're having an issue with, where they're not getting their allotted time,
mhm,
you've been letting us know that we've been going and handling those situation by situation and clearing those up, as far as I know. So if we do have some other folks at some other places, please let us know.
okay,
We'll take care of that. As far as we know, and correct me if I'm wrong, back then, there was a few that we talked about early on in the year as far as their dedicated planning times. I thought we addressed all those specific areas.
yeah, but according to what you wrote, it doesn't mention those specific items. I mean, I know, they don't wanna stay after school for PLC meetings. Their time is valuable, but I do, especially in the elementary environment, their planning period is taken up quite a bit more than in high school and middle school, simply because they're doing home training at elementary school now. They don't get a break from the kids. They sit with them at lunch, they teach them manners, they do everything. So when you write it this broadly and they have PLC meetings or IEP meetings, they're gonna wanna know, do they get paid for them? I mean, that's, the way it's written, it states that they would get their hourly rate if they don't get their uninterrupted time. So that's one of my concerns. Okay? And then the other concern is on another item. You haven't gotten to it yet, but as far as the students and medication, it has a specific detail highlighting diabetes. And it says only one person on the campus knows. I don't know the law about HIPAA or anything like that, but if I was a teacher on the campus that had a type 1 diabetic child anywhere on the playground, I think they should know about it. And that was my other concern. Questions for me? Comments?
Any questions?
Tell me to shut up? Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right. As far as the contracts and compensation, we'd already talked about this earlier in the year when Dr. Amir had brought something before you guys. We were giving $2,100 to the elementary schools and $3,500 to the middle and high schools. And then also trying to comply with everything else within that policy, so. That was that. Any questions, Ms. Kay?
It's been a long time, about 15 years since I signed a teacher contract.
Yes, ma'am.
Are they still basically those same contracts from back in the day? It just says that you have a job, but it does not.
Yes, ma'am. We are working on them because of, Act 311 was passed. We're going through, we had our first batch of, contracts and job descriptions that we tweaked along, and we worked with CIT on that. And I know Keisha's been working on the next set of, job descriptions and contracts. So we'll probably be bringing another batch to you, my next meeting, and then hopefully one last batch, if we would have to cover all of them. But for the most part, yes, ma'am,
We're still using the same.
yes, ma'am.
Mr. Benninger?
So I guess just, I mean, are we saying if we can't give the unencumbered 45 minutes that, I mean, we will pay them, or we're just gonna?
If we can't, we have to, yes, sir.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I just know I've got some complaints that, you know, they're not always getting that 45.
And with this being so new, and again, you know, Ms. Terry, her organization, we worked with them at the beginning, both her and Ms. Rule with LE, and, you know, asked them, hey, we're gonna be learning together as we start down this pathway. And, we gave them initially what the plan was and what we're gonna try to do to address everything. They both signed off on it, and we also said at that point, hey, if you get any other complaints or anything that we have going on that we need to address, please let us know. We'll take care of those, because we want to work hand in hand with our teachers.
And then I know, I don't remember which meeting, but we talked about a written plan for elementary teachers to make sure they got that 45 minutes. That's more Dr. Van Meter than.
Yeah, I know, like I said, this is part of that. But additionally, after meeting with all those, with both representatives from both unions, we're ready to address several schools. Now, PLCs, right? Part of that is group planning. Yes. I can definitely understand being pulled out for an IEP or something like that. That's not planned. But one of the things that we also did was talk to the elementary staff. We're not going to have look at PLCs in a week, right? This is something that we can have on a very sporadic basis and still have group planning, right? And then have plenty of time for the individual planning.
That the PLC can count as unencumbered. I mean,
That's what they're doing during the PLC.
Dr. Washington?
Mr. Barrington,
Yes, ma'am.
I know the state set us a specific amount for teachers to be paid. How many schools have already used that allocation?
To be honest with you, that do not know Ms. Dr. Washington. That will not do.
That is included.
I don't know.
To my knowledge.
To my knowledge, no one's used up all their money yet. There were really only a few situations that we were aware of that they were even gonna have to tap into using any extra money. And that was just a few schools that we knew about at right at the beginning of the year. And of course, things changed, but those were the only ones we knew about.
Val?
All right. Okay, next one is sick leave. A couple of changes on the sick leave policy. All throughout, in place of where it used to have physician, now you have clinician. And that means a physician, a physician's assistant, or an advanced practice registered nurse. So that's the new definition that took the place of physician in this policy. And also, one other change on page 6 of that policy is if one of our teachers gets injured while helping a student or, any interaction with them, and there's an injury, before they received 90 days of leave time. Now it's 1 year of leave time, and that does not go against what they already have in their bank. That is totally separate, and no pay is changed as far as that goes if there's that situation. So those are a couple of changes in the sick leave policy.
Reverend Washington, or Reverend Wallace?
I know what we're gonna do, brother. Just a quick question on sick leave, since it came up and we were talking about it. Just a number of retirees and even current who have a number of years in the system. You remember some years ago, and this has been many, but is there any incentive that we offer any retirees or our current employees to not take so many sick leave days if they have a certain number? I think in the past or years ago, there was some kind of incentive that they got if they didn't use so many sick leave days. And I don't remember, but I do remember
You do.
early 2000s, maybe, I think.
Me and Mr. Moore were just talking about this, matter of fact.
Okay, and just as it's something that, hey, it's an incentive to encourage and
Right, we still,
people
it's an attendance and incentive we do one each semester.
Mhm.
So at the end of the semester, we look back and see who had perfect attendance, or near the perfect attendance, and there's a small supplement associated with that. We do it twice a year.
okay. All right, and so, and that works the way,
First semester.
first semester, okay. And so is there a certain number that they cannot exceed sick days before they,
I mean, it's-
that will disqualify them?
Yes, it's basically perfect attendance.
Oh, perfect
You
attendance,
don't miss
okay.
any
Okay.
days, and we give you a small supplement.
Okay. Now, what about like retirees? I know that that's something that have 300-400 hours of sick,
You do get paid.
or I'm sorry, those that are close to
You
retirement.
get paid 25 of your days if you get.
Yeah.
You have.
You get paid 25 days at the point that you enter drop, or if you don't do it then when you retire.
Mhm. And so I'm asking.
There's only two times that you can request 25.
Okay, and the reason why I'm asking is because, I know we have subs at schools, and I know we have different incentives and programs and subs assigned, but that would keep teachers, in some kind of incentive that they can use sick days when they want or when they need rather, but just an incentive to encourage, hey, this is what we're paying if you don't need to take it, and you don't, or so. But I'm asking because a number of individuals, some retirees as well as those in the system have asked about it. And so I didn't know about the full-fledged, attendance, call it attendance. The title of it, you said attendance,
Okay, exactly what it's called, basically, it's a perfect attendance incentive. I think.
and attendance incentive is what it's called, okay? And so do teachers know about that or administrators know about that?
Yes,
Okay.
and actually, each semester, we're almost paying the same people each semester, because people show up to work. People who don't.
Okay.
So.
And what about
We pay the
amount?
same people.
What's about around about amount that would be perfect attendance and so that you would have to? Okay, all right. Thank you.
Ms. Gay?
Yes, could you explain to me what the provision of certain employees represent? Does everybody get 10 days a year, or is it based on,
Yes, ma'am, everybody gets 10 days.
okay, so when it says,
Some get more.
some get more sick days than others?
If they work more days, if the 12-month employee gets more days.
Okay, because I was about to say, do some get?
Some get vacation days and some don't, because 12-month employees.
Okay, and that doesn't have to be spelled out in any way in this, because the people that it applies to know.
Oh, they know.
It is spelled out.
Yes, they know.
It's on the one where it says page 1 of 8. It lays out how many, whether you are a 9-month employee, 10-month, 11, 12-month, and how many sick days.
It's like the third or fourth paragraph there. Right before terminology.
Okay, I was more referencing page 2 of 8. When it spoke about a school employee anyone employed by the school board that is not a teacher and does not use the term employee. Is that one of the three categories that we're talking about? The 9, 10, 11, 12-month employees and the explanation they gave up here about a bus operator should be any employee operating school bus, transportation, and anyone who does not hold a teaching certificate. The use of the term employee shall include all three categories of personnel. They use bus driver, what's the other one? The other category besides bus drivers and not holding a certificate? What, they're just employees? Okay.
Yeah, it says teacher, bus operator, or school employee, that's your three.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Item 6.
All right, next is corporal punishment. I'm gonna read this one, and this actually happened somewhere, so that's why they had to add this to the policy. This policy strictly prohibits taping a student's mouth shut or otherwise restricting his or her airway regardless of parental consent. So they had to add that for some reason, and there you have it. Any questions?
Somebody absolutely it wasn't us.
Yes, we did not do that.
We have a question on that.
Any questions?
I have a question, and it wasn't any of the new information. How do we communicate to parents that they can have corporal punishment if they want?
We don't really communicate that, so but we tell all our employees it's not worth it anymore, and all the elementary schools sign a document saying that they will not use it, and that's how we tell them, so. Any other questions?
Van?
But I mean, do we spell that out in here, or we just kind of, everybody knows?
Everybody knows.
Well,
Yes, sir.
I mean, I was just wondering why we don't just, put, item 6 and 8, we don't do it.
Right, next one is administration of medication. Act 161 changed the language, which said prescriptions must be from physicians licensed in Louisiana or an adjacent state to in Louisiana or any other state of the United States. So that was a little change in the administration of medication policy. Any questions on that?
Any questions?
All right. Next one is behavioral health services for students. There was one definition change. I hope I can get through this one. The term evaluator, and we passed this one a while back, but this is one definition we missed that Mr. Belfort caught today that we're going to try to clean up. Definition for evaluator shall mean a licensed psychiatrist, psychologist, medical psychologist, licensed specialist in school psychology, professional counselor, marriage or family therapist, clinical social worker, or applied behavior analysis provider who is certified by the respective board of examiners in Louisiana to provide necessary evaluations, and who is not an employee of the school board or the Louisiana Department of Education. That is a mouthful. So that's the definition that we had left off that we needed to clean up on behavioral health services for students. Any questions on that?
Sarah?
Just like clarification, so we can have a parent that can ask for some type of behavioral health services.
Yes, ma'am. They have to make a request, it has to be vetted, and then it has to go through Dr. Mayor's office and approve.
They make the request.
Yeah.
Who do they make the request for that? The admin?
They'll make it'll start with admin, and then it'll bump up to his office. And then once it's all approved and vetted, they have to make sure that they're working with the school as far as the schedule goes for the student. Because I know it says it can happen at any time during the course of the day, but no health provider is gonna want to come in and mess with the education of kids. So there's gonna be a little bit of work involved to make it work.
So this is basically an outside provider.
Yes, sir.
But, you know, my little hiccup with counselors, our counselors are getting counsel, correct? I mean, I've spoken with a couple of counselors, or a couple of parents, it's like counselors don't have time
Yes, ma'am. They still do get the counsel. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. They do a lot of testing as well. But, I've been at Sulphur High School, I've been at W. Lewis, and we're in lots of schools all the time. They still can do quite a bit of counseling.
I had to come in and ask for a parent once, and I was told at that time, I don't know if it's still like that, but the school board actually has contracts with 2 outside therapy agencies in the district. I think one was, counseling, what is that?
She's talking,
No, I'm talking about, resolution counseling. Now, I don't know which one Mickey Shannon is with. Which one does, I was given 2 names that school board actually had contracts with. One was Dr. Pearl Nelson. I think she's resolution counseling. And, the other one, I actually know Mickey Shannon. I don't know what company she works for, but do we still have contracts with those 2,
I know the state department, Mr. Harvey had a couple of outside groups, but I don't know what they're on this day, to be honest with you.
And also what will happen is, child welfare and attendants will sometimes refer folks to like family youth and things like that.
Miss Biondini and Ms. Coleman, that handles all the Title IX situations, and also she does threats, and she has outside folks that help with students as well, just to follow up and when they make a mistake and when they go through that process, we definitely have follow up on the back end to make sure that we get them through whatever situation they need.
Well, the only reason I asked is because I was actually given 2 names, and I shared with the parent that had asked. I said, the school board has 2 licensed counselors that they can make referrals to. And I was under the impression that these people actually, because even when I asked about one of them, the allocated funding that they received for it, they had not used any of it because no one had gone. So I'm just asking, do we have a contract with 2 agencies that when I asked, they said one of them had not used it, whatever their contract was for, because no one had come, so they hadn't billed for that service.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, I can't tell you those 2 specific folks, but I can tell you that we do have counselors that we use that we refer folks to. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Washington?
I know the individual schools contract with different agencies utilizing their title funds. So I know that some of those agencies, the individual schools did provide a contract. As far as special education, we do have a contract with Family and Youth Services, but a lot of times our kids are no-show. We still have to pay a fee, and I'm not sure what that fee is right now, but a lot of them are no-shows.
Okay. So we use
a variety of agencies.
and that was coming out of their Title I.
With special education, it came out of the special education funds, but schools, individual schools, most of the schools use their title funds to provide those services for their students.
And CWAs would come out of general fund too. CWA, I know refers to those.
Any other questions? Dr. Washington?
Okay, just a quick question. With the variety of, licensed evaluators, are you going to designate what type of therapy they can recommend? And you know why I'm asking that.
Are we gonna designate that as
Yes,
a question?
because I just remember vaguely about a marriage counselor recommending ABA therapy or something like that, something.
And I think that's why we have the request process, and then it has to be gone through and vetted by Dr. Van Meter's office.
And then for me, they run, for Mr. Hill, we
Yes.
schedule everything that way after they've met all the practices.
So it's not just a, come fill the form out and you get to go into the on campus.
Yes.
And you know Mr. Hill, he's very thorough. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Simon?
All right, next up is, sick leave bank. This policy addresses extended sick leave for school bus operators, teachers, and school employees respectively. In 2012, the legislature required that each school board adopt a policy which implemented a sick leave bank to allow for donation of sick leave among employees. No particulars were included in and then the statutory language. Legislation did not address donations made directly to employees, but instead was interpreted to establish banks for each separate classification of employee that leave could be donated to or pulled from when an employee needed extra sick leave. Act 115 revised each guiding statute to include provisions that an employee could donate directly to another employee in an amount not to exceed 1/2 of the donating employee's accumulated leave and calculated at the beginning of as it was calculated at the beginning of the school year. Also, Act 115 included a provision that at least 90% of the leave bank balance be retained for 1 year, from 1 year to the next. So if you, I don't know, if all you guys remember, we started this process of trying to help our employees donate, especially in medical situations that were pretty serious. When we started going down that road, when we got with Mr. Snyder, we had principals that wanted to donate to teachers, and it was just all over the place. So when you got into the weeds of it, it was a little more involved than what we thought. So with what they've done here, they basically have said teacher to teacher, other employees, and bus operators, because you have different retirement systems, just a lot of different things that go on. Mr. Snyder pretty much finished the paperwork on the request part. So now with the new language that we have within this policy, we're going to clean up the form that he had already started on, so that if anybody makes a request to donate sick leave days to the bank or to a certain individual, we're going to be ready for that. I asked him today about that. He's only had a couple of requests to even make that possible, and that was, I think, last year. We don't know of anything this year so far, but like I said, we'll clean up the form, the request form, and then if someone makes a request to donate to a certain individual, it goes through Mr. Snyder, we'll fill the form out, then I vet that and make sure that we have a doctor's note and that the claim of whatever the medical situation is accurate, and then we can process it at that point. So that's kind of where we are with this.
I want to tell you, thank you very much for getting this on the ball and implementing. This is huge. This is huge. Also, because it's new, what's your plan to communicate that to teachers for the future?
Once you guys say yes tonight, we get it approved at the board meeting, we'll get that out some kind of way to everybody. I'm not sure what the best route is, but we'll get it out, newsletter or something, so we push it out. Any other questions? All right,
Iverson?
okay. Next one, student health services. Act 161 requires non-complex health procedures be prescribed by a physician licensed in Louisiana or any other state in the United States. And that was the only thing they've added on that one. And that's something that we talked about in a previous policy that I already read. So, is there any questions about
Any
that?
questions?
One quick one.
Ms. Davis?
Educational screening and evaluation, can a parent request to have their child screened for dyslexia, or does it have to come from a teacher?
Can't parent request? Parent can always request, it's not. And then Mr. Hill will take it and be very thorough with everything he does. All right, number 11, immunizations. The immunization policy has been revised to reflect revisions from Act 460 and Act 674. Act 460 added language stating that teachers or administrators may not distinguish between students based on whether or not they have received vaccinations. So that is the language that was added to immunizations.
Any questions on that?
Questions?
Ms. Gabriel?
Okay, I understand exactly what you said, so is this disallowing those immunizations that you had to go to the health unit and get and bring the little blue card? Is that disallowing that now?
No, ma'am, you still have to go and get all your vaccinations, but if you don't, go get a COVID-19 shot or one of the immunizations, and you go through the proper channels, I can't treat you any differently if you didn't get it or if you have.
I just want to make sure we weren't eliminating those little cards that they give you at the health unit. that says you paid.
We still want them to go get their all their shots.
Immunization.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
If you have a parent that is against their belief system
Yes, ma'am.
to do it because it comes around, can they enter public school
Yes,
without?
sir. Yeah, we try to discourage that, but there is a form you fill out and process that you follow with the nurses. And they'll take care of that. We do have a few, yes, sir. Any other questions? All right, that's 1 through 11. Number 12 was the fall teacher report that you should have. Again, this is information only. We usually try to get this out in October, but it's a little later this year. Did we already, I'm sorry, we got to vote.
Yeah. All right, so need a motion to adopt it. All in favor, say aye. To 1 through 11, move on to 1 through 11.
Can you vote?
We already motioned and had a second, so what you're asking is to vote?
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. So,
All opposed, say nay.
motion passes.
All right, again, number 12, like I said, information only. If you look at your Excel spreadsheet, the board members who've been around for a little bit, this is pretty familiar. We break this down, you got a little pie chart, it tells you, our percentage of certified, non-certified, OFAT, PLs, tax, breaks all that down. If you have any questions about anything, I can do my best to answer that. But as you go through it, if you have any questions about any specific school that's in your district, and you would like to come meet with me or Ms. Hardy for the high school department, Ms. Pam Arsenault for the elementary department, or Carrie Smith in the middle school, we'll answer anything and go into a little bit more detail if on any of these numbers that you're seeing.
Any questions on that? All right, we need a motion to adjourn. Second. All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Keisha, thank you for the chocolate.
Oh, you're welcome.
You know, now you know you work for it, yeah.